Okay, you guys, so what does that mean? As you're sitting there arguing about the dumbest shit, well, we heard she did drugs. Well, okay, here's the thing. What percentage of people that claim to hook up with me declared affirmatively that I had a vagina and no male genitalia? It's like, what, 0%? Okay. Then you can take the number of people that claimed correctly and surmise from there how many, what percentage are lying. Okay? Now the rest of them that made a false claim, what does that mean? Well, if they're falsely claiming that I have male genitalia, which I've now many, many times shown you that I don't, which is not sexual enslavement or being a hostage to bullshit at all. Oh, it's that or die. I mean, I don't get a doctor, so think about it. That means what? It means that the people that are making claims about me sexually are lying, which means what? They're lying. So they aren't hooking up with me, or that's not what they would have reported. It doesn't make sense for them to lie if they don't need to lie. Right. So no sex means no money, means no drugs. Now you are sitting there inevitably nickel and diming this conversation. Well, we don't know that she never used drugs during this. No, you don't. No, you don't. And there's no way for me to go on the past and prove 24/7 what was going on. Fuck, I didn't even know this was going on for a couple months. So what you can expect from me is outrageous. I shouldn't, according to you and all your, you can only have 2 YouTube watches and determine and this and that, there should be 0 responsibility or obligation from me to prove a goddamn thing. I'm not even supposed to know that this secretive thing is going on. So no responsibility is on me. You had satellites. If you can't catch the claims, then that's on you. Then you should have had another way to monitor the situation. So any ignorance is on you as a responsibility, because I shouldn't even know this is going on. What I have shown you is that countless people have lied about drugs, whether, oh, she's buying alcohol in a market, and it turns out I wasn't, or, you know, oh, she, this person puts down change, but really they say it's drugs, or the screwdriver, right? There are multiple things with a screwdriver that ended up just being that, or, oh, I saw this and this in her bag and it wasn't the case, or, oh, she was drinking Jack Daniels at places like Hota and Aqua, Hota and Pistachio and Valiente and Métis that don't serve it, right? And then people are willing to give, like, I guess, I don't know, and there's cameras. I guess you had footage of that lady who gave me the orange jacket. She kissed me on the cheek, which is just what Spanish women do. And you tried to sexualize that, and I point out that's their culture. You see it all the time, you guys. And nor am I doing that back to her. And then you all of a sudden have footage of that, but you don't have footage of me doing all the rest of the stuff. Right, so it's cherry picking footage. Other places have done that too. So, you know, and then I show you that I'm like in like a locatorio, for example, and they say, oh, she did this and that, and there was a man and this and that and that, and nothing, and really I'm just using the computer. So what I'm showing you countless times, or I take something, some piece of change from someone in a car, and you go, it's this, and I show you it was just a piece of change. Right. Or things like, you know, my Mojo bag, and he said it was drugs. I'm like, you don't ever have me open the bag. Why? Because you can't open a Mojo. That undoes the whole spell. Right. And so I'm like, well, you have the bag, so what? And I showed you the exact thing that's being sold at that place. Also showed you uncrossing powder. You think what? They had a big bag of cocaine, you guys, at the witch shop. Let me guess, I showed you. And they pour it in a little baggie. That's not how you sell drugs. You measure it. You don't guesstimate on something like cocaine, heroin, whatever that would be. You're not guesstimating shit, man. She was giving me uncrossing powder. Okay. Besides, I like to point out that the guy who ran that was a cop. So, I mean, the likelihood of him doing something like that and then reporting it is like nil. Here's your guesstimation of drugs. Yeah, thanks. Like, I'm not gonna like measure that shit, right? So, nor do you see a large enough exchange of money for that, you know, or like, I had stones crystal stones, not drugs, on my altar, and you said it was this, or I had sand and you said it was drugs, or I had maca and it was in a maca bag, you said it was drugs, or, you know, on and on and on, but there's just, making meth, but it wasn't making meth, or saying that mescaline was something that it wasn't, or had different effects than it was, or claiming to know what bromo dragonfly does when you don't, because the DEA doesn't either, and they don't know the long-term effects of mescaline either, and you're making all these claims that you're out of the scope of your study. It's not even being studied by the DEA, so, I mean, okay. You know, it's just ridiculous, and on and on and on and on and on. So what I do show is someone is clearly motivated to frame me for drugs. The fact that you're sitting there, well, we don't know for sure, I'm under no obligation to prove that to you. It was your responsibility. If the American government simply can't handle the situation properly, then they should not be handling it. If you can't handle it, then I don't see why you're pretending that you can. If there's too many tapes, or this or that, there's just too much being said, well, then don't handle it in this way, or don't handle it at all. That's on you. So any lack of evidence is on you. Arnica that I showed you, it wasn't drugs. You know, or Floridex that I drank, this drinkable iron that you said was drugs, or hot cocoa that you said was coffee, or, you know, whatever, etc., etc., etc. So someone is clearly motivated to exaggerate, if nothing else. And the point is, will you ever know fully if I ever did any, you know, hardcore drugs during this? No, you won't. The answer is I didn't. But the answer is also you'll never know. Yeah, you can't know for sure. And I don't really care. It doesn't really matter, because the point is that I know I'd pat myself on the back more for it, but I was never a drug addict, so it's not so much an accomplishment for me that in this hell situation I didn't use drugs. Had I been an addict and then not used, I would pat myself on the back a lot more for it, but I know the truth. I didn't use hardcore drugs during this. None of the drugs you said, at least voluntarily. There might have been stuff in the weed that I was smoking, but I volunteered weed. I didn't volunteer the other stuff. I didn't use heroin. I didn't use meth, and I didn't use cocaine or crack or any variation of cocaine willingly at any point, or knowledgeably. So, I mean, it's sort of irrelevant. And the point is, you guys, I mean, no tapes, no drugs, no sex, no money. That means that anything that I'm spending on drugs is negligible. It's change on the street. Then that's my income. I'm spending that on drugs is not even enough to be an addict, though. So and if you want to argue the morality of drugs, I mean, 60% of your nation has prescription drugs, something ridiculous like that, and the rest of them are getting high on whatever it is: cigarettes, caffeine, religion, you know, I don't know, illegal drugs, narcotics, etc. So really you're looking at like a 20% of the population that has a leg to stand on for judging me, and the rest don't. So, hello. Oh, time. Yeah, it's mucho calor. I don't know who he was. I'll just show you this. So anyway, that's what you're looking at right now. And so there's really no point in arguing this, especially when I need a doctor. Hemming and hawing. And you can solve this to know if I have an addiction. You want to put me somewhere that's not going to be hell, in which I have full ownership of what's going on, and you can put those drugs in front of me for however long you want, month, week, I don't care, and see, do I use them? That's a surefire test. No addict could resist that, and I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to submit a hair sample. However, if you're drugging me, you're drugging me, so I don't know how much that will necessarily prove. Maybe it can, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But anyway, nickel and diming bullshit.